everyone. My name's Chance Unger, and I do mortgages for a living, but that's irrelevant.
You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because if not, it's happening anyway. So.
The whole point of this series is for you all to get to know everyone in the Tampa Bay area on a little bit more personal level.
You know, this has just turned into a big therapy session for me, so.
You can cry if you want. It's okay.
So why don't you jump in the passenger seat and join me for Carpool Conversations.
Now, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. I am Mark Rodriguez. I am an artist of many different genres. I do photography, I do animation, I do woodworking, you name it. If I can create it, I'm going to try, and if I can't, I'm going to learn how to.
So when did you really start feeling like that passion coming through into creating stuff and like stroking the creative beast in your mind?
Well, I mean, I've always kind of done art. I mean, from when I was little, I was always, scribbling on something and building things. And my parents both were creative in ways. My father was real handy with tools, so if we needed something around the house, he'd pretty much build it. Put on a new room, he'd build a new room. We needed a bar, he'd build a bar. And then my mother did. She did a lot of this flower arranging. She was a member of the Florida Garden Circle, the Tampa Garden Circle, and so she would do these shows where they would be a theme, and then she would create these floral sculptures based off of the theme, and just kind of seeing how she would, just take a word or just a thought and make something that when you looked at it, it represented that word just out of flowers was fascinating. It was just awesome to watch. So I kind of had an early influence of a little bit of that, growing up. So if something is in front of me, it doesn't have to be that thing. It could be something else. So it just kind of got me inspired to be creating and not look at the world kind of as it is, but as what it could be.
Sure.
And I got into music, so another type of creativity. So I was in bands and doing that, and I did that for many years, and moved up to Atlanta with my wife, and went to art school up at Art Institute of Atlanta for a couple years. Got my bachelor in fine art up there, and in graphic design, my major, and kind of been doing it professionally ever since. Yeah.
Didn't there was some big time Photoshop accolades that you received throughout your career, right?
I received a couple Guru Awards. Got Best in Show one year at Photoshop World for my composite work and stuff, and it was kind of surreal. It was kind of a confirmation of things of what I've been doing. I'm not always the most, assured of my work. So just having kind of that sort of affirmation of, I guess I can kind of do this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's what actually really kind of sealed it, and was just like, this is cool.
Yeah, and you're kind of going well, actually, I kind of guess I do a good job, It's like,
I can do the pixel things, so yeah.
Some people kind of like my stuff out there. What else we got on the bucket list?
Just traveling the world. I love to travel.
Yeah.
My wife and I, that's every year for our birthdays are a day apart in September, and then our anniversary is 2 days before that. So
no way.
Every year for our birthdays, we don't get each other gifts. We just go somewhere. We take a vacation and we go somewhere, and we just see the world, whatever we can, and go to different destinations and just experience. I mean, to me, that's what kind of life is about, is experiences. That's what you're going to take with you is experiences. And everything else, material, can go away, but you're always going to have your experiences. No one can take that away from you. So
amen to that.
We're going to Austin this year. This year's an Austin
I was
trip.
just about to ask, what's going on this year for
Austin. So that's been on the list to do. Went to Texas when I was a kid, to San Antonio, and I've been to the Alamo. I remember the Alamo.
Is there a basement?
There's no basement in the Alamo.
There's no basement in the Alamo.
There's no basement in the Alamo.
I mean, you and your wife must be literally best friends.
Oh yeah.
So
absolutely. Been through a lot.
Been through a lot together. How long have you been married for?
It'll be 23 years this year.
23 years. And
Absolutely.
then, what is the extent of your family? You have kids.
I've got two daughters. They're 15. I have twins, and I'm the youngest of 7, so I've come from a big family, and I have tons of nieces and nephews all over the world, and they're sprung out, everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So out of all the things that you enjoy creating, medium-wise, like what is your favorite?
The photography and the compositing is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Just because there's nothing that I can't do in that realm. I mean, I have full control. I can pretty much create any world I want. I can create any scenario I want, any story I want, and take it from start to finish and have complete control over it. And I'm getting that way kind of with my woodworking and stuff like that, and some of my other stuff that I'm doing, but not to the degree that my compositing is, because and jokingly, my nickname, people know me as Godriguez.
Yeah.
And my tagline is, I'm not a god, but I play one in Photoshop. So that's what I feel like when I'm in there. It's like there, I just and I just wield my hand and I'll take this head and put it here and whatever. So that's how I feel when I'm in Photoshop.
Is it like, have you done a 23andMe and like discovered that you're like all these other things that you
did one, and it was pretty accurate though as far as the region. My grandfather was from Spain, directly from Spain, and my on my father's side, and then on my mother's side, Cuban. So it pretty much had those regions.
I mean, I thought that I had a lot of Dutch. Like, I thought it was primarily Dutch, and my mom did one, and we don't have an ounce of Dutch in our family. I've been living like my entire life a lie, and coming to that reality, I'm like, I don't think I can handle this anymore. But do you feel like with your culture and your background and everything else, that maybe that has influence in the stuff that you do, creativity wise?
Maybe at times. I mean, there's been some very personal pieces that have been not so much with sometimes with the culture, but more, I don't know, maybe the mindset, just how my again, going back to my parents, just they're just raised in a way. I mean, my parents didn't necessarily punish, so to speak. Well, sometimes, but it was more used that sort of Catholic guilt of ways to like
someone's watching you right now.
Exactly.
You're not on you're on the naughty list.
A little bit of that at times, but and maybe that's why when I am creating, I don't use. I mean, some of my work is very dark, but it's never for the shock value. A lot of people know, like my clown piece with, the clown's committing suicide. He's shooting himself, but he's got a toy gun, and his brains is coming out, and they're all multicolored, coming out of his head. But I could have went a completely different way and used a real gun and made it bloody and all that, and that would have turned people off immediately, and they wouldn't have stayed long enough to see what the actual underlying story is there, which is that's, you never know who could be depressed. So I know some people are scared of clowns, but in the same regard, clowns are supposed to make you happy, and they're supposed to be silly and whatnot. And here you have this clown that's actually committed suicide, so you never know who is hurting on the inside. You never know. So so there's a reason for that darkness in that picture, that subject matter's there. I like to call it approachable darkness because it's dark, but it's not, like I said, it's not for shock value, it's for storytelling.
Do you find that, like, all right, like, I mean, this is all me, like, holy cow, I mean, I can't believe this. I gotta make sure the bar is set up here, and does everything have to be, like, is there like a control freak sort of, like little bit of essence being fluttered in there?
Oh yeah. When it comes to my art, I'm an extreme control freak. And I think that might be partially why I do so much self-portraiture, and it's not, I've worked with models before, but a lot of what I do is self-portrait work because I can control every aspect of it. Because I do have a very clear vision most of the time of what I want. And not saying that I couldn't work with models that can do that, and I have, but it just, self-portraiture is a very personal thing to me, and in fact it is part of what my kind of talk is going to be about. And again, I know it's a sort of a broken record, but going back to my parents, that actually something that happened is why I kind of delved into self-portraiture so much. There was an event that went on every other Sunday on Google Plus called Self-Portrait Sunday, and so I kind of started dipping my toes into it, started doing it, and started liking it. And there was always a stigma to me of narcissism and stuff that people did self-portraiture, and so I kind of didn't want to be in that boat. And so I slowly started kind of ebbing into it, and a little bit here and there, and was starting to get a little more comfortable with it. And I was getting ready to do, it was around this time that the Godriguez moniker started coming about, and people started calling me that on the regular. That's how they addressed me. So I kind of had this angel devil persona kind of going on about my work and stuff like that. So one of my personas was sort of this devil character. So I was gonna do a picture of myself as this sort of swanky devil with a martini glass, and that was gonna be my self-portrait because it was around Halloween, and so that was the theme was kind of Halloween theme. So I was like, okay, it kind of fits. Yeah. And the week leading up to that self-portrait, my mother had a stroke and was in the hospital, and she was in there for a week, and we thought she was on the other side of it and thought everything was good. And then that following weekend she had a relapse and died. And it was huge. It was just for all of my brothers and sisters and whole family and everything. But I made the decision later that day when I went home after I left the hospital to follow through with doing a self-portrait, because that was something that my mother and father both taught me is just, you still got to have persistence, you still got to keep living. Bad things happen, find the good in it, find a way to still persevere and still get through it. So it was kind of out of respect and honor for them that I actually went through with it and actually did it. But I changed it up completely from what I was going to do, because originally, like I said, I was going to do this swanky devil and all that, and I ended up still doing myself as the devil. But instead of all that, I'm seated in a chair, I'm holding a portrait of my mother and father, and I've got my head in my hands. And so, and again, going back to symbolism and Easter eggs and stuff like that, I was sitting in a chair that was in my parents' house growing up. I'm wearing a red jacket and tie that was my father's, and the picture I'm holding was the picture that my mother gave all my brothers and sisters when my father passed away. So and the devil is upset because my parents were such wonderful people. Those are two souls that he would never have.
You never have, yeah.
So it was so it was so healing just doing that and sitting there and working through it, and that's what I learned at that moment of what self-portraiture can really be. And from that moment on, I'm like, this is something I want to do. I can work through a lot of things that are either have to do with me or have to do with others that I know about, or maybe people I don't know about. Maybe I can influence or help someone else through my art, and realized how much impact it can really have.
Sure.
And that's why I try not to explain my art too much. A lot of people are like, oh, what were you trying to say? And I'd rather maybe tell you about the process or what happened when I was creating it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give it all away, because who was it I was just reading about? Oh, yeah, I think it was Nick Cave. And he was saying, once I create a piece and I put it out there, it's no longer mine. Not saying don't make copies of it in a copyright sense.
No,
but,
like if you sell it, I'm still getting royalties for that.
It no longer has to have the meaning that it meant for me to create it. It's up to now whoever experiences it they can take ownership of whatever feelings they are feeling.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I feel about my art.
That's amazing. I love that. I want to bring it back real quickly here before we sign off. And you got the solo show coming up. Give some details about the solo show, like dates,
Okay.
Things like that. Where's it going to be?
It will be at I think it's Gallery 114 at HCC Ybor. The dates for the actual run of the show is August 18th through September 19th, and the actual where I actually do the artist talk will be on September 5th. So that's when I'll actually be at the exhibit and can answer any questions, and we'll actually be doing a small talk to kind of introduce the show. So September 5th, I think that's from 4:30 to 7:30, I think. They should have the times, I think, posted on the site. If not, I'm regularly posting on my social media as well about it. But and then the following month in September, Project Dark Arts, that is September 28th, and that's going to be an awesome show as well.
Man.
So that one, last year was awesome, and I think this year is going to just go above and beyond. So that's going to be a great show as well. So
I'm excited. I'm stoked. What's a good way for people to reach out to you to check out your work?
Godriguez Art everywhere. I'm at anywhere, everywhere. That's my website, godriguezart.com, all one word. And then same way with anywhere on social media. Just look me up, Godriguez Art. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, Twitter. Don't use Twitter too much, but mostly predominantly Instagram. That's kind of my favorite vehicle, just because I don't like to have to overly explain things, so I like just putting an image up and a little bit of words. YouTube, same thing, Godriguez Art there. Pretty much anywhere, just Godriguez Art.
Just Godriguez. All right,
Godriguez Art.
I don't think you can forget that now. Godriguez Art. There you go. Boom. It's in there. It's in the head. I have to laugh because we've been friends on social media for, I'd say, a few years now, and we've always talked about getting this glass of bourbon, and it's never happened.
I know.
And just so you all know, Mark's bourbon collection is very extensive, unless it's dwindled a lot.
It's dry right now.
Oh no!
I'm a little
That's why the creativity juices have been flowing so well. So
it's a little dry.
But it's cool though, being able to now actually have the opportunity just to get with you face to face.
No, absolutely.
And now hear more on the personal side of you, because everyone sees the image, they see what you've created, and like what we talked about before, the interpretation is always going to be subjective there, but it's always good being able to just what is Mark like, so but on that note, check it out, people. Definitely hit up for all the local people in the Tampa Bay area. The solo show coming up here, I'm gonna be making out to that, but check them out, everyone. Social media as well too, Godriguez. Again, this is like a huge honor for me to have you riding it. I'm not gonna clean that seat anymore now. So
Good thing I took a shower this morning.
Whoever's sitting in the seat next, you're lucky, right? So, but hey, listen, really appreciate everything, Mark. Thanks again for it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Loved it.
All right, perfect, excellent. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.